So that's how far I've come on the coloring contest picture. And I'll just show you James's meal for today. It's nothing too special. Some plantains and stuff. And I'm going to review Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I finished Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2. And there's the coloring contest, the original coloring contest picture. And it's going pretty well. I figured they're probably just going to do a draw. I don't think they're actually going to judge the coloring contest. I just figure this gives me an opportunity to practice watercolors, because that's what I've been trying to do, is learn how to do watercolors better. And every time I stretch my paper, and then the tape lifts up. But this time I don't think it's going to matter that much. It's still pretty flat. Anyway, it's a great picture, because I decided I'm going to do is see how there's different books in there. I'm going to put the titles of the books I'm going to publish on all the
advertisement.
All the books. Yeah. So it's going to be my future published books. And I still have a lot to do. You can see I still haven't done, let's see, where did I start with this? I think I started with the orange walls, actually, and then I did the blue sky and the carpet, and anyway, because you can't work right next to where you're coloring or it'll bleed into each other. You gotta wait until things dry. So it takes a lot of time, but if you work on one thing that's far away from another thing, then it works out. So I think I'm going to do the plants next. So there will be some green and stuff going on there. And well, these are snake plants here, so green and a little bit of yellow. And then this one, I imagine it was a Dracaena that she was drawing in the picture, but it's, I'm going to put a little bit of purple in there, because I have some purple here and the purple stripes here. So I'm going to put a little bit of purple with the green there. And then this shelf, the shelf brackets are going to be the gray of this. And then the tree is going to be that gray too. And this tree is going to be a Schubert choke cherry good. So the bark will be a little bit purplish. So that should have all the colors. I like to do that, where you have one color in multiple places, right?
Yeah, it's called limiting your palette.
Well, I like it. I like it that way.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a strength. It's a design sort of thing. Sometimes there is a joy in that. Sometimes there's a joy in just a riot of different things. I was at the bank today and I noticed the Christmas tree. It just, looking at Christmas stuff kind of sets me back to some of my nicer times in childhood, stuff like that. And actually, they had a little too much repetition for my taste. I like it, like every ornament to be different. It's a little bit like when you've got stuff on the shelf.
Well, that's what I like too.
Not so much shelves, but windowsills and stuff like that.
I like all the ornaments to be different too.
Yeah, and
I think my sister still has. My mom made a crocheted garland, or I think it was crocheted. Maybe it was knitted. I think it was crocheted though, and it was really neat because the way she did it went around in spirals, right? And it looked quite beautiful.
Was it Christmas motif?
Well, it was for the tree, right?
Oh,
so she
wonderful.
put it around the tree when we were little, and then I think Kathy has it now. So I think she had it around her tree with her kids.
Family.
So that's lovely. But anyway, I'll have pictures here of the the child's face, or maybe the children's faces in these pictures, but I don't know if they're going to stay with the same color scheme yet. I'm not sure, right? Because they could be from a different time and place. So I don't know if they'll stand out more or sink in more or what. I'm not sure yet. I'm just kind of going along how it feels right, and right now this is feeling pretty right. So everything was going pretty well, I think. And I do wish that I had fixed the perspective problems that she had. Yeah, well, I would have been able to. I would have just had to redo the whole thing.
So it's just not worth it. It'd be better just to start from scratch.
I could have fixed it a bit better by just taking this shelf up a bit, you know? And I could have fixed it a bit better, but yeah, it's hard to draw perspective stuff, so.
It is. And why compound it by trying to correct it?
I know, but so I'm not like saying that the person who drew this did a bad job. It's just, it's really hard to do perspective stuff. So anyway, kind of trying to just work with it, and I'm happy with it anyway, even though the shelf, it feels like, oh, all of those things are going to go falling off into here, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, within their limitations, I think you did a good job.
Yeah.
I like the job you did on the cat, and those are poinsettias there.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't put the green in yet. So it'll look a lot better when I have the green. Well, I did a lot of work on that while I was watching this. So it was how many hours?
Too many.
So many hours. I don't know what if it says on here how many hours I had to sit through. But, they're keeping the secret because they don't want people to know. 556 minutes.
Say hours.
It felt like it. But no, they tried hard. They're trying hard to do a good job.
Maybe 9 hours.
But,
more than 9 hours.
Anyway, you were right. At the end of the third disc, it's a musical episode.
Oh, man.
And at first, when it came on, I'm like, yes, this is going to be great, right? And they had some catchy tunes and stuff like that. But the thing is, when you, like, people always think, oh, well, if I have somebody write the lyrics, and somebody who knows how to write lyrics, and somebody who knows how to write music, I'm going to end up with something really great. But they don't always work out well together.
Yeah.
And there's another problem with it is a lot of the time people think that they're writing great lyrics, like they might pick up a rhyming dictionary or something and think, yeah, this is going to work out for me. But you have to get the rhythm right. You can't just
get the
you
rhythm
have
right.
to.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost, you have to get the rhythm right. If you don't get the rhythm right, I don't care what you do with the rhymes or whatever. You could have the most perfect, clever rhymes and clever lyrics in the world, but if you don't get the rhythm right, that's not going to be music.
Well, sometimes you can't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So this is a piece, not of music, but an example I heard today. So I run across the best comic in the world. It seems to me it's an automatic reading device, and the tone is flat. That's the best way to deliver things, instead of smiling, yucking it up and stuff like that. Just a flat delivery. So it just reads it in a flat tone. It's a machine reading. You know what I'm saying? And they call it's on the sports channel. I just wait for it because it's so good. And, you know, professional writers just aren't that much better than the average person. You know how you say, do it yourself. So what they do is they solicit, they get a topic, they want jokes, right? And so people write in a joke for this computer or whatever, artificial intelligence, to read.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be like from Coaldale or from Innisfail or Okotoks. And there's one from Okotoks today. So the machine's reading it, and the machine goes from Okotoks.
Oh, that's great. That's great all on its own. That's okay. Spitting at me.
Anyway, Okotoks. So accent makes it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it really matters. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're relying on if you were to mess up the accents on words in the middle of the line, I don't know if people would notice it much as when you do it right at the end. But you're going to right. But people tend to get it wrong at the end because that's where they're wanting to make their rhyme, right? Yeah. And so that's where they tend to get they think, oh well, I'll just do it this way, but it's wrong. You got to get the rhythm right. And
so people have trouble with secondary accents,
and that's the main problem.
You know,
it's
might
like
be used to writing poetry, tradition or verse. Verse doesn't distinguish in English between secondary and primary accents.
And so you could be a great poet on paper, but then when you go to sing it, if you haven't nailed down the secondary accents, then it's not going to work.
It's going to seem goofy.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Not quite
no,
that bad.
But usually they have problem with the words that have like 3 syllables or something, right? Like peacefully. They'll sing peacefully, right?
Blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
Blah. And you go, it's not the way we say it.
And it's bad, right? So even somebody who's really looking forward to a musical, if you haven't nailed down those secondary accents, you could have the catchiest tunes in the world, whatever, and you're going to turn people off. They're going to be listening to the lyrics and go, oh God, I wish that I was listening to this song without lyrics. Because they can't stand it when you get the accents wrong. You've got to get the accents right. Language has rhythm. You got to get the rhythm with the language, as well as the rhythm with the music, or it's not going to work. The lyrics are like a musical instrument. They are. When you're singing them, you're using an instrument that is your voice. And if you don't get the accents right, then you're playing your song with a badly tuned instrument. It's not working. You could have the best singer in the world, the best melody, whatever. You got to get the rhythm of the language right. You have to. It's essential. So
while we're on that topic, I want to talk about melisma. You know, like gospel soul music is close to the best thing in the world because it's got harmony. One of the great strengths of the European tradition. It's got sophisticated instrumentation. Again, one of the great strengths of the European tradition. The European tradition is incredibly inventive, all the way down to the Moog synthesizer, but the organ is stunning. It's almost like a synthesizer that was invented hundreds of years ago. And in typical soul music, you got an organ and a piano. But then it's got percussion. But there's a thing about soul music, gospel music that I cannot stand. I don't like melisma in traditional church music. It has nothing to do with race or color or, frankly, strictly speaking, not culture. People start doing melisma, yodeling on individual syllables when they're just getting caught up in the spirit of things and they're losing track of the meaning. If you're going to yodel melisma, make sure you're not messing around with the rhythm. Better yet, don't do it. It's been done to death and done so poorly. You know, when you listen to Sam Cooke or some of the classic soul singers, Sam Cooke or Smokey Robinson, they're not yodeling much. And then you listen to some of the stuff from nowadays and you're going, what the hey are they singing? And you get so annoyed if you actually care about the meaning, and that doesn't apply to many people, that you're not saying what the hey, you're saying something else instead of hey. But thank you for putting up with that.
No,
I can't
not at all.
stand melisma. And when you're singing a national anthem, cut the cackle. You know, it's just absolute abortions. Some of the versions of the national anthem I hear where people are yipping and yodeling and doing everything except conveying something like the meme. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Not a problem at all. I value what you have to add about music and lyrics. Because you know what you're talking about.
I wish I didn't about so many different things, but you know.
I don't know. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, it bothered me when people were getting the accents wrong in music. And honestly,
Well, you got to the point where you were just saying you didn't want poetry or anything.
I didn't want any lyrics in it, so I went for electronica.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't have to deal with lyrics anymore. I
Yeah.
can just listen to like ambient electronica, like The Orb or something. And anyway,
Yeah, just do instrumental music if you can't do justice
yeah.
to.
Oh, and also, yeah, I really like listening to Indian music because I didn't understand the lyrics, so it didn't matter, right? I like.
Well, when you're listening to foreign music, you don't know how
No.
weird it is.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a guy comes from French background, much more new. He's French Belgian. There must have been a lot of Dutch Belgian mixed in because his younger brother had just like white blonde hair and white blue eyes. I'm telling you, you could barely tell where the whites ended and the colored part began.
Mm.
But I can remember him saying to me, you know, English music does so much better by the lyrics than French.
Mm.
And I was going, I think I know what you're talking about. Because when traditionally, nowadays, I mean, at one point in time in French, the silent E's weren't silent.
Oh, really?
They wouldn't have been. It came from Latin, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. And but now, when they sing French lyrics, they tend to sing the silent E's. Well, that's ridiculous. How are you supposed to understand it? You have to have been able to read it in the first place. Someone who's, you know, like a kid who isn't good at reading or something like that is going, what is that? They're not singing anything sensible.
Mm-hmm.
So, sensible. They'd say sensible, ba 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 ba. Well, that's not the way they say it. It's sensible. 2 syllables, not 3. So he was right, and that's, I'm pretty sure, what he meant. And he was being objective about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying
Yeah.
they do it so much better. But please, it's possible to do a whole lot better in the English language. So folks out there who are writing song lyrics in English, get on the stick and learn what you're using. Learn your instrument. Like Pauline says, it's almost like another instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Learn the language.
Well, it's really like too, because the voice. I mean, you're carrying the melody with,
Yeah.
right, and then the lyrics and the rhythm of the language, right? That's another instrument all on its own. Just the rhythm of the language. Anyway.
Now, one of the things that bothers me theoretically is we actually have a tune to language too.
You're right, we do.
And usually songs work against the tune of the language.
Well, oftentimes
That's
they
the way it
do,
goes.
yeah.
I don't know how to. I'm not good with. I'm pretty good with rhythm. I can read rhythm written down in notation, but I can't. I don't have an ear for music. You've heard it. You know what I'm saying? Not like you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how you don't. I just
I mean, it gets
assumed
worse.
everyone
My
was like
older
me.
brother's stunning.
But
You hear
anyway,
him sing and you go, you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, the Dial of Destiny. This is the best Indiana Jones I've seen. It's so awesome.
now does
So
it have
awesome.
Harrison
Yes,
Ford?
it does.
Yeah, it's hard to
And
tell.
I'm so
Like, who's
glad
that
that
under
Disney-
the hat? Who's that under the hat?
Yeah, I'm so glad that Disney's working on this because they have the coin and they'd have a lot of talent, right, to put into this. And so, I mean, you have Indiana Jones when he's a young man, you have him middle age and older. Because, like I was saying before, I mean, there's no need for people to be actors anymore. Marilyn Monroe can be in every movie if you want her to be. And they could keep doing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones for 200 years from now. And it might just get better and better. Honestly, they did such a great job. And like, this was years ago when you were going to university. And James was in a linguistics class, and he had to go put time in, what was it called? Voice.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what it was called. Anyway, voice
Anyway.
donation.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. But
They were getting voices for people who didn't have voices of their own.
yeah, and so anyway, but who knows what they were going to use that
It's
for.
almost like a
So
voice transplant. They might
That's
have
what
been
it was
calling
called, voice transplant.
So there might be someone walking around there with my voice. For
Not
sure.
exactly, because you had to, you were going to give like the 100% of your voice, and I was like, you don't know what people are going to use that for. So I mean, like James said, that I only have to give this certain amount, and then they can fill it in with other stuff that they have or whatever. And I was like, yeah, let them do that, because you don't know what your voice will end up being used for. And
Eventually, you'll be able to do a little sample from you.
well, yeah,
That was as a step in the process, so they'll be able to not just imitate your image and stuff like that. They'll
I
be
know.
imitate your voice.
I know, and I mean, if somebody really wanted to, they could look at all of our videos and do the same thing that you were doing with the voice transplant thing, and then all of a sudden, well, they could make up us saying whatever, right? So I realized that possibility's out there. I don't feel threatened that people are going to do that with our stuff somehow. I don't feel threatened that people are going to bother to watch our stuff, for the most part. So
Well, there might be 2 people watching right now.
yeah, there might be. Anyway, yeah, lots of action, great everything. Everybody would want to watch this movie. So awesome.
Harrison Ford is funny.
He's so awesome as Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you talk about him being middle-aged, but he was, I think of him as being middle-aged when he started out doing these things. He was in Apocalypse Now. I think he's wearing glasses in the background.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, at the beginning. You wouldn't. I didn't know. It's just a friend of mine who likes movies. And like the Indiana Jones, he likes comics. Indiana Jones is kind of like comic book
It is.
brought to screen or something like that.
I mean, I don't like archaeology, sort of. The whole idea of it, it's
Well, you mean the plundering.
totally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when you have Indiana Jones up against a Nazi, you're going to root for Indiana Jones. For sure. Right? So, you're not gonna, nobody out there, well, maybe somebody out there is
Oh, there'd be
Go
a few
Nazi,
people
I
who'd be
don't know.
going for the Nazis. Just like, well, more so if we were going up against a commie. There'd be lots of people. You know, for example, I can remember at the Wheelers student newspaper at the University of Lethbridge, it tended to attract radicals, i.e. fellow travelers at the best, commies at the worst. So there was a poster that got sent to us for a movie or something like that. It must have been a re-release. And so this one woman her brother was awful. He was one of my nemesis. But she put the poster up on the door, as I recall, and I think she'd put horns on the picture of Sean Connery and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Now,
Why did she think
well,
he was that guy?
hopefully it was because he didn't really treat women very nicely, either as a
Okay.
man or as James Bond. But it was because he fought against commies. I know where it was coming from.
Okay. Oh boy, I'm achy. Too much time sitting watching Star Trek and painting watercolors. So, 2 minutes if you want to talk about
Okay,
something.
so to her brother.
Yeah.
If I call you Coyote, dude, maybe you'll know why. I'm not going to mention your name. Last time I checked, you were still doing the commie thing. I don't know if you're a fellow traveler or card carrier. The Russian term for fellow traveler is Sputnik. So those are people who kind of supported the commie cause, but styled themselves as social democrats. Weren't very democratic, and they're showing their true colors now when they do witch hunting to enforce their politically correct agenda. And Mr. Coyote tried to censor a few people on the student newspaper. And so Sputnik, fellow travelers. Lenin had the proper term for them, and this is a sound chump. He didn't come up with it once, he used it many times. Useful idiots. That's what he called social democrats who, helped out with the commie cause. Useful idiots. So, put that, if you manage to watch the end of this, if you're a fellow traveler, put that in your peace pipe and smoke it. Help you choke on it. Take care. Hey, AOP, you're a lot smarter than those fellow travelers.